Hello everybody, and back with another Kantai collection tutorial video of sorts. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about how I work on my bucket farming. I've been asked this question by a couple of people, how I get my buckets to where they are during an event. This is almost immediately past the spring event, so my reserves are a lot lower for everything right now than they probably should be, but yeah, anyway, I'm going to talk a little bit about how I gain those reserves. So first things first, there are a certain subset of expeditions that you can do to help gain in buckets. Those being expedition number 2, 30-minute expedition for 1 bucket, 50-50 shot. That is the quickest one that you can use to try and gain some extra buckets for a day. I would say that you know, if you don't have a lot of time to be sitting at your computer, rotating your fleets in and out all the time, probably not the best use of your time, to be completely honest. But if you do have some time just to sit there, you know you're going to be around to rotate things in and out, go ahead and run this expedition a couple of times. It'll, while not gaining you very much in the fuel department, in fact, it'll lose you fuel. You will gain buckets and ammunition, so it's not a horrible waste of your time. Sometimes I like to run it in combination with Expedition 5, which gains you fuel and some extra resources to kind of counterbalance what you do with this. So that's a pretty good trade-off right there. If you know you're going to be at your computer a lot, you can also elect to run Expedition number 4, which also can garner you a bucket 50-50 shot. Now, personally, I don't like to run Expedition 4 that much because if we take a look at our expedition chart, which I'm going to go ahead and switch the capture here real quick, you only gain 60 ammo out of it, so you use, let's take a look. Yeah, you'll use a bunch of fuel in the process, so it's not a very good yield for resources. It's pretty much solo bucket farming. I would not recommend it simply because there's very little to gain off of it, and in fact you probably lose more than you're putting into it. At least with Expedition number 2 you'll gain a pretty decent source of ammunition out of it, which if anyone who's played in events looked at, that can run out pretty darn quickly depending on what kind of ships you're running. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and switch the capture back here real quick. Alright, so that covers the main expeditions, or short expeditions I like to call them, that you run to gain buckets quickly. Now, secondary to that, which I need to send somebody out, I'm not really doing this in the most efficient terms for bucket collecting right now, or resource collecting, but expedition number 9, that's this one right here. That's a pretty good one for you to gain fuel, and if you send it out as a sparkled fleet, great success has a chance to get you 2 buckets. So that'll help you gain things really quickly on the, barring the condition that you sparkle your fleet that you're sending out before doing that. So if you're willing to put in the extra work, that's one you can do. You gain a decent cache of fuel out of it, so if you get a great success, you will be gaining a little bit more than you'll be spending on it. However, yeah, as I said, you're gonna have to budget your time in that so you can send the fleet out sparkling. Next, not that expedition, expedition number 13. Now this one, 4-hour expedition, decent return on fuel and ammunition, as we can see in our wiki here. Yeah, right here. 240 return on fuel, 300 return on ammo, 50-50 potential for at least 2 buckets. So usually when you run this, you're more or less guaranteed at least 1 bucket. I don't think I've ever seen it not return at least 1. I mean, I may have, but it's very rare that it doesn't. So running this, it's a pretty good one to run when you go to sleep or when you go off and can't be by your computer for a while. I like to run this one just so that there's something relatively long running that returns me a little bit of extra resource in the back. Now, there's also Expedition 6, or 14 right here, the 6-hour expedition. It also returns a bucket. However, the caveat of that, and incidentally number 10, is the type of fleet that I have to send out. From a min-maxing standpoint, these don't necessarily bring you the best return on investment. If you are farming for fuel and, or not for fuel, but if we're going for ammunition and steel, this may not be the worst pick, especially if you're going to do this while you're turning in for the night, or you're going to be away for a while. You could run this to garner yourself a bucket. Granted, it is a 50-50 shot if you're not a sparkled fleet, and it's only a single bucket return, so it may not be the best return. This hour 30 over here, similar deal. If you look at what kind of resources these take, it only takes fuel. So, I mean, if you have a decent enough fuel reserve, like say you max out your fuel cap, you're looking for some of the other resources, you just want to get buckets, maybe that's something you might want to do. But in the case of this 130, you get a little bit of bauxite, a little bit of ammunition. Overall gain, but you will lose on fuel for, in this case, 4 ships, which includes 2 light cruisers, which, depending on what ships you send with it, you know, you're probably going to be losing somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 to 50 fuel. So, you know, just keep that in mind when you run those expeditions if you're really trying to gun for buckets. Otherwise, there are some other expeditions you can do. A lot of these I don't personally run just because they're very costly to sort out in the first place. Like 3 carriers, 2 destroyers, 1 cruiser, 4 destroyers. It's not too bad. This one's actually okay, but it consumes quite a bit on re-entry there. You also have the 80-hour expedition for 900 bucks and 3 buckets, which is actually phenomenal. You use a whole ton of fuel and ammo, but it's one of the best bauxite gains in the game. Hourly, it's not that great, but say if you're going to be on a long trip, or you're going to be on a plane for a while, long vacation, can't be at your computer, why not set a couple of long expeditions like this where you can gain quite a bit of fuel and ammunition during your away time. After that, not too much beyond this. I haven't actually experimented with a lot of these later expeditions, simply because I haven't had the time to unlock them yet. I know that's really odd to hear just because of my current ranking, but yeah, I actually haven't pushed these later expeditions that much. Sometimes because I don't have the ships leveled up to the sums that they need for this, or because I'm just lazy. I'm gonna admit, like, as much as I preach min-maxing, I don't min-max that much, because at a certain point it just gets way too grindy, and I don't like bothering with that. But anyway, that's the basics of how I grind up my buckets, at least from an expeditionary standpoint. So I'm gonna go ahead and change the capture back. Okay, next thing, quests. Now, a lot of times, these quests are a lot of one-shot deals, so a lot of these red ones, barring these are dailies and weeklies. A lot of these quests, they are one-shot deals. Some of them do garner you buckets, but a lot of the times, like, you're not going to gain too much outside of that one-shot. Like this, for example, I did a bunch of expos. No buckets, but I get resources and differential coins, so hey, why not? I'm doing the expeditions anyway. But anyway, yeah, you can get a bunch of buckets throughout your quest in the course of a week, so let's go ahead and switch ourselves back to the wiki here. Quests I'm going to go over, in particular, a lot of the sortie and some of the expeditionary quests. So I'm going to go ahead and move down to our dailies. So, oh, not that one. Where are our daily quests? Daily battle quests, where are you? I should have done this before doing this video, I apologize. Okay, so daily quests. As you can see, as you move on, there are a bunch of quests that you can gain buckets from. A lot of these which you can gain through oral cruising or your EO map, like 1.5 for instance, completions for the week. So defeat an enemy fleet, gains you some resources. Not actually any buckets, but it does help unlock some of your other quests for the day. Second quest of the day that's unlocked after this, BT2. You gain a bucket. After you do this, you unlock 3, 5, 1, and 2 weekly 1 and weekly 3. So unlocking those, you get a certain variety of quests. 3 transport ships, you get 1 bucket. Depending on the date, you either get 2 buckets or 2 dev mats. You also, assuming you get this far, if you do a lot of oral cruising, this shouldn't be very difficult to accomplish, but you'll also get these quests that unlock you additional buckets. Submarines, if you're doing your EO, you know, maybe if you get past this, this will open up. If you're doing your 1.5s, you're grinding up destroyers, pretty easy to get. That's an additional bucket. Weekly quests, really not a lot here unless you get to Operation Rogo. 50 transport ships. That is a lot of oral cruising, and you're probably going to have to use multiple submarine runs to get this done quickly. But it does yield you quite a few buckets, and in the process you don't lose a lot of resources. So I'd highly suggest that during the week you shoot for a Rogo and the Marine Escort battle, if you can get to this point. This is a submarine sinking quest, but as I said, you gain 600. You're going to gain 600 fuel out of it, and honestly, sorting the destroyers to accomplish this, either through 1.5 or whichever map you decide to do, does not take very long, and it's a pretty decent gain. You get 2 buckets and 1 screw, which you can use if you have Akashi to upgrade your arsenal. Other than that, there's some other weekly quests here, but usually, unless you're really hardcore into grinding quests, you're not going to get this far. So I'm not going to talk about that too much, because personally I don't use them to that effect. You can also go as far as to grind monthly quests once those pop up every month, but there's only this one BM4 here that actually gains you any buckets, so probably not the highest priority. Other than that, you have your exercise quests. If you can get to the point where you unlock some... Oh, these aren't weeklies, sorry, that is my bad. But if you can get this monthly quest done, if you've already unlocked this, not a bad quest to do. You get 2 buckets, and you still get this here, or this combat provision, which personally I don't use, but you know, if some of you do, great. You get some extra stockpiles there. Unfortunately, there's not too much in the way of expeditionary runs that you can do to get a lot of buckets, so I'm not going to talk too much about that. A lot of this is just do this while you're running your expos. You'll gain extra resources as a result, thereby yeah, losing you less resources, hopefully gaining you resources, because yeah, while you're not in an event, everybody knows, prepare, prepare, prepare. Anyway, after that, you get some of these maintenance quests. This is a pretty easy one. Repair 5 ships. If you sortie a lot, this is going to happen. You definitely want to go ahead and click that, because that's 2 easy buckets. You probably lose a few resources depending on what you're repairing, but if you do a lot of oral cruising, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen in no time. Like, honestly, you'll clear this pretty darn easily between this and your normal sorties. So that's pretty much that. So that's basically gonna complete the bucket game video for today. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments or suggestions for the way I've been doing this, please go ahead and tell me in the comments. If you have another way that you like to do things and you think it's better, just explain why and tell me, because I am all ears. I always want to hear about better ways for me to gain resources, because frankly, as much as I do hoard buckets, I only started this event with like 550 and maybe about 60k resources of everything. So, I didn't start at the best point. So there's definitely a means to be improved there. But anyway, until next time, thank you very much. And yeah, keep your ships safe.